afternoon, Kenyans. Uh, I've taken a long period of time, kind of a sabbatical leave, since I had a video to talk about issues that either concern the religion in our country or political issues or issues that deal with human life. Now, lately, I have been awoken by the happenings, especially in the economic zone or circles in this the country of ours. We have been performing very well, but of late, the kind of leadership that we are having in the country is taking us nowhere. During the campaigns, there is a politician who used to say that Wajinga wameisha Kenya and that ignorance had been vanquished or would be vanquished if he took up the reins of power. But what we are facing now, the reality is worse because there is a hike of basic commodities that are being used by each and every citizen in this country. And this is not a relief. Now, another thing that the leader is exhibiting is rigidity. And we all know that rigidity has led to the fall of so many nations. And it's a manifestation of believing that there is only one way, and that way is my way or no way. And when that happens, things cannot work. Things become sticky. Um, it starts with a great deception in the mind, where a person thinks that he is thinking, and yet what is revolving around his mind is ignorance and speculation, which of course do not augur well for the people whom he or she is leading. Now, if I debunk on the kind of taxes that employed individuals, whether within the government circles or in the private sector, face, you will realize that it only we only remain with a paltry around 40% of the salary that maybe anybody earns. Because, for instance, if you are a government employee, there is a mandatory taxation on your salary of payee of 30%. And then there is what we call provident fund. Especially teachers nowadays, they are facing what we call provident fund of 7.5%. It took around 4-5 thousand from the pay slip. And then they took medical allowance. They took it to AON, and yet we also pay NHIF. Now, if you come to the root of proposals, he is proposing 2.7% of your basic salary on NHIF, meaning that it will either take 2,000 or 2,500 shillings from your pay slip. Now, when you finish that, we also are going to face what we call 3% housing levy. And yet, where I am shooting my video from is my house, and I don't need to move anywhere because I'm comfortable here. And what we also know is that Kenya is not a socialist or communist state. It's a capitalist state. So we have to change the kind of economic philosophy within the country so that people can accept um, building houses for hustlers. I don't know Mama Mboga. I don't know how they are going to pay back that money because the president himself said that when he was in Kericho that hakuna pesa ya bure. There is no free money. So I don't think that those guys are going to be able to pay back uh, the money that the budget proposals are proposing. And then after you have all those deductions, and then you come out here and face 16% VAT, if you total that, you total 30 plus 3% plus 2.7 plus 7.5 plus 16%, it will turn out to be around 59.2%, not figuring or adding in the medical allowance money that was deducted from the payslip. Now, this coupled with together with the high cost of fuel, high cost of electricity, and high cost of staple goods, goods that are used by a majority of Kenyans. This means that apart from the counties that were affected by the drought, we are driving a large segment of the population to a segment that are critically malnourished. That is why nowadays we have rampant cases of very easy to deal with diseases like cholera in areas that never used to have those diseases. Why? Because it is only water that people are remaining with to take. And yet, initially, when we had the previous leadership, the President Uhuru Kenyatta's reign and Kibaki's reign, those things were not there. In fact, there was an improvement on the living or standard of people, especially during Kibaki's time. So, what it means that this economy is going to drive most of the citizens, especially those that have been thinking that they are in the middle class, they are going to slide down below the poverty line. And I don't know what we will be talking about those that are already in that poverty line. Because if they have been initially struggling with a good example of the sugar, if they have been unable to buy sugar at 170 shillings per kilo, will they be able to manage buying sugar at a price of 250, for example? If you look at the fertilizer subsidy, that subsidy does not help anything because you, number one, you cannot eat fertilizer. Number two, there is a clear deception when we are talking about fertilizer subsidy because uh, what happened is this, that NPK, its market price is at the exact price that this Kenya Kwanza government uh, sold it to the farmers, because it is DAP that was retailing at 6,500 or 6,000. But NPK, because of the nutrient, the amount of nutrients that are found in it, its market price is actually 3,500. So there was nothing like a subsidy. And if there is a farmer or a peasant who has been able to acquire that fertilizer and use it, you will realize that a third of it is sand, a third is NPK, and a third is CAN, and a third is DAP. So we have been conned by the fact that the kind of fertilizer that we were expecting that can assist us, its actual price is actually 3,500. So there was nothing like a subsidy. It was just uh, trying to play with the emotions of Kenyans because they knew that fertilizer was retailing at 6,300, around there. Another thing that we are going to face is great deception in the housing scheme. At the moment, the government is unable to pay its employees, so they are looking for ways and means of ensuring that they get a pool of funds, which of course does not have laws to govern it, because uh, from the start of this government, hustler fund is something that has failed, because uh, it who nobody can tell you where that money is coming from, because if we do not have enough money to pump into the economy, into useful sectors of the economy that can boost the economic growth, where do you get free money to give people who are not even engaged in any business activity? And in any case, who said that young people should be engaged in business? Everybody has a way of doing what? Of doing his thing. Another thing is taxation on social media content. Now, this is a guy who should be facilitated to ensure that they live a decent life. But what is happening? What is happening is that the guys in government are failing to even have focus on what those youth need. What is coming out in every aspect of this Kenya Kwanza government is that they are either hired by I don't know which powers, or they are blind. They are finishing this country, because if you are taxing an already overburdened person, I don't think that there is any important thing that you want to create in them. Because when there is a depression, even in the US government, when Obama was coming in the year 2008, he found that the economy was at the dogs, down there with a great depression, because housing was a problem. It is the same thing that you want to introduce in the name of housing, and yet it failed in the US. So the future of this country has shown that it is dimming, because we in future maybe most of us will now become economic refugees to our neighboring countries. Uh, because the case of social chaos, there is a lot of chaos around so many aspects in the economy. For example, if you touch the multinational companies that are engaged in the tea sector, and then you start saying that you want to use the Mugabe way, then Kenya will be worse than what? Than in Zimbabwe. Because if you touch them, the foreign currency that is gotten from tea is not going to flow in. And then what are you going to sell? Because it's only tea, the tea sector that is remaining within the agricultural sector that gives us what? Gives us foreign currency, because we don't sell any other thing. So uh, we don't have a bright future. The future is not clear. It is murky. It is foggy. It is misty. It is up to us Kenyans to decide what to do, because there are legal ways that we can invoke the constitution so that we can save ourselves. Otherwise, I wish you well, and wish you the best. Well, wait for my other videos. Thank you very much as we continue to deliberate on the issues that are afflicting us.